God says, "My child, listen carefully because this message has reached you by my design and not by accident. You have been carrying questions in your heart that no one else can hear. You have sensed that something heavy is happening around the person you love, yet every answer has remained hidden from your eyes. Tonight I am pulling back a small part of the veil. Your soulmate is standing at a dangerous crossroads, not because I have abandoned them, but because they have wandered into the shadow of choices that they believed would never catch up with them. Fear has been whispering into their heart. Confusion has been clouding their judgment. They have convinced themselves that one more secret, one more compromise, one more silent decision would solve everything. But my child, darkness never frees a soul. It only binds it tighter. That is why I have called you here before the next chapter unfolds. You are not hearing these words to panic. You are hearing them so that hope will rise before fear has the chance to rule your heart. The story is not over. What you think is the ending is only the beginning of my restoration. Stay with me because every word you hear today carries a purpose that reaches farther than your understanding. I know the tears you have cried over this person. I know the prayers you whispered when no one else was awake. I have collected every one of them, and none of them has been forgotten. Even now, while your heart wonders if they are slipping farther away, I am working in places where your eyes cannot see. My beloved child, the warning before you is not meant to destroy your hope. It is meant to awaken your faith. There are moments when consequences move quickly, and there are moments when mercy arrives even faster. I am the God who still opens doors that seem permanently closed. I am the God who still changes hearts that appear impossible to reach. Do not mistake my silence for my absence. I have been closer than your own breath. Your soulmate has been fighting battles they have never spoken aloud. Shame has become their closest companion. Pride has convinced them to hide. They smile in front of others while carrying storms inside. They pretend everything is under control, yet every night they wonder how much longer they can keep pretending. They fear that the truth will eventually find them. They fear losing people they love. Most of all, they fear that they have wandered too far for my grace to reach them. But my child, my mercy has never been limited by human failure. My love has never depended on perfection. Before they took their first step toward confusion, I already knew the road they would travel. Before they spoke their first regret, I had already prepared a path back home. That is the mystery of my grace. I move toward broken people while the world moves away from them. I restore hearts that others have already given up on. That is why I am asking you not to surrender to despair. There are moments ahead that may seem frightening. News may arrive that shakes your emotions. Conversations may leave you wondering whether everything is falling apart. Yet remember this promise. I remain on the throne even when circumstances appear chaotic. Nothing surprises me. Nothing escapes my attention. Even the darkest night must eventually surrender to the morning that I have prepared. My dear child, your soulmate has been surrounded by voices that encouraged shortcuts instead of wisdom. Some people celebrated choices that slowly damaged their spirit. Others remained silent when they should have spoken truth. Influence is powerful, and the wrong influence can pull even a sincere heart into dangerous places. Yet I am beginning to remove those unhealthy voices. Separation often feels painful before it becomes healing. Doors that seem to close in disappointment are sometimes my protection in disguise. Relationships that suddenly disappear are not always losses. Sometimes they are rescues that my children only understand much later. You have asked why everything became so complicated. You have wondered why delays continued to grow longer. The answer is deeper than you imagined. I have been exposing hidden foundations. I do not build lasting love on unstable ground. Before I restore two hearts together, I first restore each heart to me. That process is rarely comfortable, but it is always filled with purpose. My child, if fear tells you that everything is beyond hope, answer that fear with faith. If anxiety whispers that disaster is inevitable, remember that my voice is greater than every fearful prediction. I have not called you to live under constant terror. I have called you to trust me one step at a time. Pray instead of panicking. Listen instead of assuming. Wait instead of rushing ahead of my timing. There is power in patient faith that the world cannot understand. I know you wish you could protect your soulmate from every painful consequence. You wish you could stand between them and every mistake. But some lessons can only be learned when a heart finally realizes that it cannot save itself. Even then, I remain nearby with open arms. My discipline is never rooted in hatred. It is rooted in love that refuses to leave my children trapped forever. My beloved child, I want you to release the burden of believing that everything depends on you. You are not their savior. I am. You are not carrying the future of this relationship on your shoulders. I am. Rest in that truth. Every time you choose faith instead of fear, your own heart becomes stronger. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, healing begins to grow inside you. I have seen your loneliness. I have watched you question whether anyone truly understands your pain. Yet I have never stopped walking beside you. Even during seasons when heaven seemed quiet, I was arranging conversations, protecting opportunities, delaying disasters, and preparing moments that you could not yet recognize. My timing has always been working for your good. Soon you will look back and realize that what appeared to be rejection was actually redirection. What felt like punishment was preparation. What seemed like silence was my careful planning. My child, do not become consumed by frightening possibilities. Instead, become consumed by my promises. The future is not written by fear. It is shaped by my faithfulness. Your soulmate still has choices to make, and I continue calling their heart back toward truth. The conviction they are beginning to feel is not meant to crush them. It is meant to awaken them. When a soul finally becomes honest before me, miracles begin where pride once stood. I can restore what years of confusion tried to destroy. I can heal wounds that words cannot explain. I can rebuild trust one faithful step at a time. Keep your heart soft. Keep your spirit hopeful. Continue praying even when you cannot see immediate change. Every sincere prayer rises before me. None of them disappear into emptiness. Some answers arrive quickly. Others are quietly growing beneath the surface like seeds preparing for their season. You may not see the roots today, but growth has already begun. My dear child, there will come a moment when you understand why I asked you to trust me instead of your fears. You will recognize that my hand never left your life. You will discover that I was protecting both you and your soulmate from outcomes that could have been far worse. Even when consequences came near, my mercy stood nearer. Even when darkness appeared strong, my light remained stronger. Hold tightly to hope because hope anchored in me never disappoints. Walk forward without surrendering to despair. Lift your eyes above the storm and remember who walks upon the waters. I am still writing your story. I am still healing what has been broken. I am still leading lost hearts toward redemption. I am still opening doors that no human power can shut. My child, trust my wisdom more than your fear, my promises more than the headlines around you, and my love more than every voice of doubt. The road ahead may contain unexpected turns, but it also contains my presence. And where my presence remains, true restoration is always possible. Remain faithful. Remain prayerful. Remain hopeful. I have gone before you, I walk beside you, and I will never leave you, because the future I am preparing is filled not with hopelessness, but with redemption, peace, and the unshakable assurance that my grace is always greater than yesterday's mistakes. My beloved child, do not allow your imagination to become louder than my voice, because fear has a way of creating stories that never come to pass. The enemy wants you to believe that every shadow hides disaster, but I want you to know that even when danger seems close, my hand is closer still. There are moments when a person's life reaches a turning point so dramatic that it feels as though everything is about to collapse. Your soulmate is approaching such a moment. They have been carrying the weight of choices they never expected would become so heavy. Every excuse they once believed now feels empty. Every promise they made to themselves has begun to crumble. Their heart is growing tired of pretending that everything is fine. They have looked over their shoulder more times than they can count, wondering if the consequences of yesterday are finally catching up with them. Yet even in those anxious moments, I have been speaking softly to their spirit, calling them back to truth before it is too late. They have sensed my conviction, but they have struggled to surrender because surrender requires humility, and humility often feels frightening to a wounded heart. Still, I have not stopped calling their name. I have not stopped reminding them that there is still a road leading home. My child, never underestimate the power of a single moment of repentance. One honest prayer can begin changing what years of pride tried to protect. One sincere cry for mercy can open doors that human strength could never unlock. Your soulmate is closer to that moment than you realize. They may appear stubborn on the outside, but inside they are exhausted. They are tired of carrying secrets. They are tired of pretending that they have everything under control. They are beginning to realize that peace cannot be found by running farther away from me. True peace is only found by running back into my presence. That realization is growing stronger every day, even if no one around them notices it yet. My dear child, while they wrestle with their own heart, I am also preparing yours. I do not want bitterness to take root inside you while you wait. I do not want disappointment to harden the compassion I placed within you. Waiting can either strengthen faith or strengthen fear, depending on which voice you choose to follow. Choose my voice. Choose hope when hopelessness seems easier. Choose prayer when worry feels overwhelming. Every act of trust becomes a seed that I can multiply in ways you cannot imagine. I know there have been nights when you asked why this journey has taken so long. You wondered why restoration did not happen months ago. You questioned whether I had forgotten the promises you believed I placed inside your heart. But my child, delay does not mean denial. Sometimes I slow the journey because I am protecting both hearts from arriving before they are ready. I never rush healing. I never hurry transformation. I am building something that can endure storms instead of something that collapses under pressure. That kind of work takes patience, but it is always worth the wait. There are conversations your soulmate has not yet had, truths they have not yet confessed, and burdens they have not yet released. Those moments are drawing nearer with every passing day. When they finally choose honesty over fear, they will discover that the freedom they longed for was never as far away as they imagined. My beloved child, you may hear words from others that create confusion. Some people will speak from fear. Others will speak from gossip. Some will assume they know the entire story when they have only seen a small piece of it. Do not allow every opinion to become your truth. Seek my wisdom before accepting anyone else's conclusions. I see what human eyes cannot see. I know the motives hidden beneath every decision. I understand every wound that shaped every choice. My judgment is always perfect because my vision is complete. Trust my perspective more than the changing voices around you. There will come a day when your soulmate looks back and realizes that what they feared most became the very thing that awakened them. Sometimes people only discover the value of light after wandering through darkness. Sometimes they only recognize the beauty of grace after exhausting every other path. When that awakening comes, do not be surprised if their heart begins to soften in ways you never expected. They will remember prayers they once ignored. They will remember conversations they once dismissed. They will remember moments when my spirit quietly tried to redirect their steps. Those memories will become the beginning of their healing instead of reminders of their shame. Shame says there is no future. Grace says a new beginning is possible. I have always spoken the language of grace. My child, continue walking with confidence instead of fear. Continue believing instead of surrendering to doubt. I am already moving pieces that you cannot yet see. What feels uncertain to you is completely known to me. I have never lost control of your story, and I never will. Keep your heart anchored in my promises, because when the next chapter unfolds, you will discover once again that my mercy arrived long before your fears ever had the chance to become your reality. My child, I know there are moments when your heart races because you imagine every possible outcome before a single one has happened. You wonder whether the future is already decided, whether the mistakes of your soulmate have become too great to overcome, and whether the road ahead has reached a place where restoration is no longer possible. But listen carefully to my voice, because I do not speak the language of hopelessness. I speak the language of redemption. I specialize in restoring what people believe is beyond repair. I have rescued hearts from the deepest despair, transformed lives that others had already abandoned, and written new beginnings where the world expected only endings. The same power that has always restored my children has not diminished. It is still reaching toward your soulmate even now. There are moments ahead that will force them to confront the truth they have avoided for far too long. They will no longer be able to hide behind excuses or distractions. The walls they carefully built around their heart are beginning to crack, and through those cracks my light is entering. That light may feel uncomfortable at first because truth often exposes what darkness tried to conceal. Yet exposure is not the same as destruction. Sometimes what is revealed must first be brought into the light before it can finally be healed. My beloved child, do not confuse conviction with rejection. When I reveal hidden things, it is because I desire freedom for my children, not because I desire their downfall. Your soulmate has been carrying burdens that were never meant to remain hidden forever. They have replayed past decisions in their mind countless times, wishing they could return and choose differently. Regret has become a constant companion, even if they rarely admit it aloud. They have wondered whether anyone would still love them if the whole truth became known. They have questioned whether forgiveness could really extend as far as their failures. But my grace has never measured people by their worst moment. My grace reaches beyond shame, beyond fear, and beyond every label that the world places upon a wounded soul. That is why I continue calling them back to me. I refuse to stop pursuing the one who has wandered because my love does not grow weary. My dear child, while I am working within their heart, I am also strengthening yours. I am teaching you to stand on faith instead of circumstances. I am teaching you to trust what I have spoken instead of what your emotions whisper during lonely nights. Every season of waiting has been preparing you to recognize my faithfulness more clearly. You may not have understood every delay, but one day you will see that every pause carried protection. There were paths I refused to let you walk because I could already see where they ended. There were doors I quietly closed because I loved you too much to let you enter them. Even disappointments that once made you question my plan have become part of the foundation I am building beneath your feet. Nothing you surrendered to me has been wasted. Every tear has become a testimony. Every prayer has become part of a greater story that is still unfolding. Soon you will begin noticing changes that cannot be explained by coincidence alone. Conversations will shift. Hearts will soften. Opportunities for healing will quietly appear where conflict once lived. What seemed impossible will begin to feel surprisingly close because I have been preparing the way long before you recognized my hand at work. Do not rush ahead of my timing. Remain faithful in the small things. Continue speaking words of life instead of defeat. Continue believing that I am able to accomplish far more than human understanding can imagine. Your soulmate is not beyond my reach. Their future is not controlled by fear. Their identity is not defined by yesterday's mistakes. I am still writing their story, just as I am still writing yours. The pages ahead contain lessons, healing, humility, and hope that neither of you can yet fully imagine. Trust me through every unanswered question. Trust me through every unexpected delay. Trust me even when the road feels uncertain, because I have already walked ahead of you. I know where every step leads. I know which doors will open and which ones must remain closed. Above all, I know the beautiful purpose that waits beyond this difficult season. Hold tightly to my promises, my child, because the same God who carried you through yesterday will faithfully carry you through tomorrow, and when you finally look back on this chapter, you will not remember it as the season that defeated you, but as the season where my mercy quietly changed everything. That my beloved child, as this journey continues, remember that I never ask you to carry tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. I give strength for each day, wisdom for each decision, and peace for every moment that you choose to place in my hands. There is a reason I have been teaching you patience. The answers you seek are connected to changes that are taking place inside your soulmate's heart right now. They are beginning to recognize that every path built upon deception eventually reaches a dead end. The confidence they once displayed is fading because they have discovered that temporary security cannot silence a restless conscience. There are quiet moments when they sit alone, and the silence becomes louder than every distraction they once depended on. It is during those moments that my spirit gently reminds them of the person they were created to become. Memories of innocence return. Prayers they learned long ago begin echoing through their mind. They remember the peace they once felt before fear, pride, and confusion clouded their judgment. These memories are not accidents. They are invitations. I am calling them back, step by step, toward the life I always intended for them. My child, never assume that because someone appears distant, I have stopped working within them. Some of my greatest miracles begin where human eyes see nothing changing at all. Deep transformation often starts in complete silence before it becomes visible to everyone else. Just as a seed grows beneath the soil long before anyone sees a single leaf, I have been growing humility, conviction, and courage inside your soulmate where no one else can observe it. They are wrestling with decisions that will shape the next chapter of their life. One voice tells them to continue hiding. Another voice, my voice, gently urges them to walk into the light. The struggle is real, but my grace is stronger than their resistance. My dear child, while they are facing this inner battle, I want you to guard your own heart against discouragement. Do not let disappointment convince you that my promises have expired. I do not forget what I speak. My timing may stretch your faith, but it never breaks my covenant. Every promise I have planted within your spirit remains alive, even when circumstances seem to argue against it. Continue speaking hope over your future. Continue believing that I can restore what appears broken beyond repair. Continue choosing forgiveness instead of resentment, because forgiveness frees your heart even before it changes someone else's. There are people around your soulmate who will soon recognize that something is different about them. They may not understand the reason, but they will notice a change in their attitude, their priorities, and the way they respond to situations that once controlled them. This transformation will not happen because of human determination alone. It will happen because my presence has begun reshaping their heart from the inside out. The chains that once held them are becoming weaker every day. Habits that once seemed impossible to break are losing their power. Fear that once dictated every decision is slowly giving way to faith. This is the miracle of surrender. When a heart finally stops running from me, healing begins flowing into places that have remained wounded for years. My beloved child, do not become impatient if every answer does not arrive immediately. Some victories unfold gradually so that the foundation remains strong. I am not interested in temporary change that disappears with the next storm. I am building lasting transformation that will stand firm through every season ahead. There will be moments when you're tempted to question whether all of this waiting has been worthwhile, but keep your eyes fixed on me. The story I am writing is larger than one difficult chapter. It is a testimony of redemption that will encourage others who have nearly lost hope. One day you will speak about this season with gratitude instead of pain, because you will finally understand how every delay, every prayer, every tear, and every unanswered question became part of a greater purpose that only I could see. Until that day arrives, remain faithful. Keep seeking my presence before seeking explanations. Let my peace become the anchor of your soul. Trust that my hand is guiding both you and your soulmate even through circumstances that appear uncertain. I have never abandoned either of you, and I never will. The future I am preparing is not built upon fear, but upon truth, healing, wisdom, and my unfailing love. So lift your eyes once more, my child. The night is not endless. The dawn is already approaching, and when my perfect timing arrives, you will see with your own eyes that my mercy has been quietly working through every moment, leading both of you toward a future filled with hope, restoration, and the assurance that I have been with you from the very beginning and will remain with you until every purpose I have spoken over your lives has been fulfilled. My child, there is another truth I want you to understand before you allow your heart to become overwhelmed by uncertainty. Not every alarm you hear is the final outcome, and not every frightening moment ends in destruction. Many times I allow my children to stand at the edge of a difficult consequence so they can finally recognize the value of my protection. Your soulmate is entering a season where every decision will matter more than ever before. The opportunities to ignore my voice are becoming fewer because I am drawing them toward a moment of complete honesty. They have reached the point where pretending is more exhausting than telling the truth. Their soul longs for freedom even though their mind still wrestles with fear. They have carried the weight of hidden burdens for so long that they have almost forgotten what peace feels like. Yet I have not forgotten. I remember the dreams I placed inside their heart before disappointment tried to replace them with fear. I remember the compassion they once carried before pain convinced them to build walls around their emotions. I remember every prayer they whispered as a child, every promise they once made to me, and every tear they believed no one noticed. None of it has been lost. I have been waiting patiently for the moment when they would become willing to let me heal what they could never repair on their own. My beloved child, there are unseen battles taking place around your soulmate even now. Some influences that once appeared friendly were quietly leading them away from wisdom. Some voices encouraged compromise while pretending to offer comfort. But I am removing what does not belong in their life. What feels like loss today may become one of the greatest blessings they will ever experience. Sometimes I answer prayers by taking away what my children never realized was hurting them. Trust my process even when it seems painful. Trust my wisdom even when you cannot understand every step. I see the entire picture while you only see one small moment. That is why I ask you to release your need to control every outcome. Place your future into my hands again. Place your soulmate into my hands again. Place every unanswered question before me and allow my peace to guard your heart. Worry has never changed tomorrow, but faith has carried countless hearts safely through it. My dear child, I also want you to remember that love without truth cannot produce lasting healing. There may come a moment when your soulmate must face difficult conversations, admit painful mistakes, and accept responsibility for choices they once tried to hide. If that moment arrives, do not see it as the end of hope. Often the deepest restoration begins with the courage to tell the truth. Humility opens doors that pride can never unlock. I honor hearts that are willing to repent because repentance is not weakness, it is the beginning of transformation. I am preparing your soulmate for that kind of courage. The process may be slower than you expect, but every sincere step toward truth brings them closer to the freedom they have been searching for. While that work continues, I am also refining your heart so that you will respond with wisdom instead of fear when the time comes. I do not want this season to leave you bitter. I want it to leave you stronger, kinder, and more deeply rooted in my presence than ever before. One day you will recognize that I was shaping both of you at the same time, even though your journeys looked very different. What I build through surrender lasts far longer than what people build through human effort alone. My child, hold tightly to hope. Refuse to let despair become the voice that guides your thoughts. Every sunrise is another reminder that my mercy is new. Every breath is another reminder that my grace has not reached its limit. Continue seeking me before you seek answers from the world. Continue trusting my promises even when circumstances appear confusing. The road ahead may still contain unexpected moments, but none of them will surprise me. I have already prepared strength for every challenge, wisdom for every decision, and comfort for every tear that may still fall. The story is moving toward redemption, not defeat. Keep walking with me, for I am leading you through this valley into a season where truth replaces fear, peace replaces anxiety, and my unfailing love becomes the foundation upon which your future will stand forever. My beloved child, as I bring this message to its peaceful conclusion, I want you to carry one truth with you above every other voice you hear. I have never stopped watching over you, and I have never stopped pursuing your soulmate. Even when the road became confusing, my purpose remained clear. Even when fear whispered that everything was falling apart, I was quietly arranging what only my hands could accomplish. Do not measure your future by today's uncertainty. Measure it by my faithfulness, because my faithfulness has never failed. The days ahead will reveal what my timing has been preparing all along. Hearts will be humbled. Truth will come into the light. Healing will begin where pain once lived. What seemed like an impossible situation will become a testimony of my mercy. Your soulmate will understand that no lasting freedom is found apart from me, and you will understand that every prayer you offered in faith was heard in heaven long before you saw the answer on earth. My child, release every burden you have been carrying. Release the fear that tells you the story is over. Release the anxiety that steals your peace. Place every unanswered question into my hands, because I know the ending from the beginning. I am already standing in the tomorrow that you cannot yet see. I have gone before you to prepare the way. I have placed angels around you to guard your steps. I have surrounded you with my love even on the days when you felt completely alone. Never forget that my plans are always greater than your fears. Walk forward with confidence, not because every problem has disappeared, but because I am walking beside you through every season. When your heart grows weary, return to my presence. When confusion tries to overwhelm you, listen for my voice. When doubt rises, remember every time I have carried you before. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. I do not change, and neither does my love for you. My beloved child, the future I am writing for you is not built upon shame, fear, or failure. It is built upon grace, restoration, wisdom, and hope. Continue praying for your soulmate without allowing fear to control your heart. Continue trusting my timing without demanding your own. Continue loving with wisdom, forgiving with discernment, and believing that I can do what seems impossible. One day you will look back on this season and realize that what appeared to be your greatest trial became the doorway to your greatest testimony. You will see my fingerprints on every delay, every answered prayer, every unexpected turn, and every miracle that unfolded exactly when it was needed. So lift your head, my child. Let peace settle into your spirit. Rest in my promises tonight. I am still your shepherd. I am still your protector. I am still your redeemer. And I will faithfully lead both you and your soulmate according to my perfect will, until the day you fully understand that my love never left you for even a single moment.